The air felt thick-weighted with everything we'd never said, everything I'd been too blind to question. 6 years of shared life, and suddenly it all pressed against my ribs, like a warning. I'd ignored for far too long. My car rolled onto the gravel drive, leading to the retreat I once considered a sanctuary. The familiar crunch under the tires didn't comfort me this time. Instead, it sent a cold thread of dread sliding down my spine. Sunlight filtered through the towering pines overhead, scattering broken shards of gold across the winding road. Beautiful. Deceptive. Just like the life I thought I had. I clutched the steering wheel, the aroma of the carefully prepared feast in my trunk, rich, buttery crustaceans, creamy whipped tubers, and decadent molten confections, a stark contrast to the growing knot in my stomach. A scarlet silken garment, still adorned with its crisp labels, lay nestled amongst my overnight essentials, a testament to hopes now teetering on the brink of collapse. For 18 months, monthly excursions had been my partner's ritual. He'd return, a faint scent of the wilderness clinging to him, a kiss to my brow, a swift shower, and then a retreat into sleep. I'd rationalized these trips, believing them a necessary escape from the relentless demands of his high-stakes profession, where colossal deals were forged. He deserved respite, I told myself. Yet, a subtle shift had occurred, his communication device now guarded by a secret code. Invitations to professional gatherings ceased, and a recent expenditure for adornments I never received. His explanation, for a client's significant other, had been accepted without question. Such was the nature of my faith. The retreat emerged from the trees. A grand structure of amber-hued timber and expansive glass, commanding a view of the tranquil waters. His imposing charcoal vehicle was there, as anticipated, but beside it, an unfamiliar pristine convertible gleamed in the fading light. A ripple of apprehension spread through me, quickly suppressed. Perhaps a colleague, a chance encounter. I gathered the insulated containers and approached the entrance. An unnatural stillness enveloped the house. No music, no background hum of a screen. I paused, keys in hand, opting for a knock, not wishing to disrupt any potential guest. Silence, a louder rap, still nothing. Then, a delicate, uninhibited laugh drifted from the lakeside terrace, winding its way around to the rear of the dwelling. My pulse quickened, yet my legs propelled me forward, along the flagstone walkway. A primal instinct urged me to remain unseen, to observe before revealing myself. And there they were. He reclined in a plush outdoor chair, fishing gear discarded. A woman, her hair like spun gold, was nestled on his lap, her arms entwined around his neck. A cerulean frock mirrored the lake's expanse. Their voices were hushed, intimate. I watched as his fingers, with a familiar tenderness, brushed a strand of her hair away from her face, a gesture once reserved for me. The containers, a tableau of a loving meal, almost slipped from my grasp, but I recovered them silently. They remained oblivious, lost in their private world. Just tell her. Her voice, clear and unburdened, floated across the deck. I despise this clandestine existence. Alistair, my partner sighed, his hands resting naturally at her waist. Corinne, we've discussed this. Eleanor would claim everything. Her legal counsel would dismantle me. Just grant me more time to resolve this. The ground beneath me seemed to shift. They were speaking of me, orchestrating my displacement. And this woman, this Corinne, knew my name. You've been saying that for ages, Corinne persisted, toying with his collar. I'm not getting any younger. We've been together for over a year now. Over a year, the phrase resonated in my mind. 18 months of fabricated excursions, 18 months of intricate falsehoods, 18 months of me, the unwitting participant, packing his bags and bidding him farewell. I should have stormed forward, hurled the carefully prepared feast at him, demanded explanations, but witnessing them, their ease, his natural intimacy with her, a crucial realization dawned. I needed proof. I needed documentation, and most importantly, I needed a strategy. My phone was within reach. With deliberate silence, I retrieved it and began capturing images. A click, his lips on her neck. Another click, his hands ascending her back. A third click, her laughter at his whispered words. Over 24 images, from various angles, ensuring their faces were clear, the distinctive backdrop of the retreat visible. Then, a video, 3 full minutes of their hushed conversation, their shared history, their future plans. He spoke of surveying properties for them, in a distant archipelago. Corinne expressed her eagerness to shed the cloak of secrecy. My hands trembled, but I forced a calm exterior. I needed this, every scrap of it, with sufficient evidence to irrevocably incriminate him. I retreated with slow, deliberate steps. I reached my vehicle undetected, stowed the untouched food, and sat, staring blankly ahead. The journey home, 3 hours long, passed in a haze. The scene on the terrace replayed incessantly. Their effortless touch, their undeniable intimacy, the life they were charting without me. I recalled countless instances, defending him to friends, dismissing their concerns about his relentless work. The solitary evenings spent convincing myself our bond was robust, merely navigating a demanding period. The times I'd gazed at our wedding portraits, grateful for a partner so accomplished and driven. What an absolute fool I had been. Darkness had fallen by the time I arrived at our urban residence, a sleek, multi-story structure in an exclusive enclave. Every room, a reflection of my own design, now felt like a gilded cage. I moved directly to his study. His portable computer, ever password-protected, sat on the desk, but I knew of the paper archives, tucked away in the lowest drawer, the ones he believed I never scrutinized. I extracted folders, photographing everything: financial records, business agreements, fiscal declarations, property deeds, every fragment of information, meticulously recorded. Then, I scrutinized our joint expenditure statements, spanning 2 years. The pattern, once obscured by trust, was now glaringly evident. Hotel charges in locales where he'd supposedly attended professional gatherings, jewelry acquisitions every few months, dining bills for 2 at establishments I'd never visited, lavish expenditures on unexpected days. The vestiges of his parallel existence were everywhere. I had simply been too credulous to perceive them. All the captured images and videos were transferred to a secure virtual repository. Then, I turned to my own computer, commencing the search for legal counsels specializing in high-value separations, those renowned for dismantling deceitful partners in legal proceedings. It was the early hours when I finally ceased. I had a roster of legal professionals to contact, evidence secured in multiple locations, and something else, something unforeseen: clarity. This union was irrevocably fractured, but I would not simply relinquish everything, allowing him to embark on a new chapter with his paramour. Consequence: if he desired freedom, he would pay dearly. For every falsehood, every fabricated excursion, every moment he'd made me doubt my own perceptions. I ascended to our sleeping chambers, gazing at the expansive bed we'd shared for 6 years. Tomorrow evening, he would return from his weekend escapade, bestow a perfunctory kiss, and feign normalcy, and I would allow it, for I needed time to fortify my position. But normalcy was forever lost. Our union had dissolved the instant I witnessed him with Corinne on that terrace. He simply didn't know it yet. I retrieved my sleeping cushion and retired to the guest quarters. I could no longer bear to lie in that bed alone, anticipating a partner who preferred to be anywhere but home. As I lay in the darkness, an unexpected sensation washed over me: relief. The gnawing anxiety that had plagued me for months, the persistent apprehension that something was amiss, the creeping sense of his emotional withdrawal, all of it now made dreadful sense. I wasn't fabricating scenarios. I wasn't paranoid or overly dependent. I was being systematically and deliberately betrayed by the man who had pledged eternal devotion. But he had committed one fatal error. He had underestimated me. He believed me to be the gentle, trusting partner who would never question him, never resist, never pierce through his elaborate deceptions. He was about to learn just how profoundly mistaken he was. The following morning dawned with a cheerful intensity that felt incongruous with my shattered reality. I awoke in the unfamiliar guest room, still dressed, my neck stiff from a night of tearful slumber on a foreign cushion. For a fleeting moment, I clung to the hope that the preceding day had been a nightmare. Then, my gaze fell upon the saved image on my phone, and reality came crashing back. He wouldn't return until late Sunday. 36 hours remained to compose myself and chart my course. I brewed coffee and settled at the kitchen island, laptop open. The legal research from the night before seemed fantastical in the daylight, but I opened the compiled list of legal professionals and began making notes. Alaric Thorne's name consistently appeared at the pinnacle of every search for top divorce attorneys. He had represented 3 high-profile individuals in the past year alone, all securing substantial settlements. His firm wouldn't open until Monday, but I drafted an email, marking it urgent. I kept it concise. My affluent spouse is engaged in an extramarital affair. I possess extensive documentation. I require paramount representation for a high-value separation. Please contact me Monday morning. Before doubt could seep in, I pressed send. Then, my focus shifted to our financial landscape. He had always managed the money, assuring me I needn't concern myself. I had access to a single credit card and a checking account with regular deposits. I had never questioned it, always having what I needed. Now, I realized that enough might have been a mere fraction of our true wealth. I logged into our primary bank account using his computer. I had observed him entering the password enough times to commit it to memory. Lakeside, 2019. The year he acquired the retreat. The bitter irony of his affairs, location being his password, was not lost on me. The account balance made me physically recoil. $843,000 in liquid assets, supposedly our household funds. My coffee grew cold as I clicked through statements. He constantly moved money. $50,000 here, $100,000 there, always transferring funds between various accounts. Some account numbers were familiar from documents in his study. Others were completely foreign. Then, I discovered something intriguing. Each month, $25,000 flowed from our joint account into an entity designated Riverbend Property Holdings LLC. I had never heard of it. I searched for the LLC online, finding it registered in a distant state 2 years prior. The registered agent was a law firm I didn't recognize. No information regarding the properties it held or its actual operations. $25,000 monthly for 2 years amounted to $600,000 that I knew nothing about. I continued to delve deeper. Quarterly transfers to an account in a Caribbean tax haven. Annual payments to something named Ocean View Investments. Monthly charges to a property management firm in a tropical paradise. He hadn't simply been engaged in an affair. He had been systematically concealing assets. My phone vibrated, startling me. Sylvia's name illuminated the screen. My closest confidant always possessed impeccable timing. "Please, tell me you're free for brunch," she said without preamble. "I just discovered Jasper has been using my credit card to acquire digital currency without my knowledge, and I need to vent." On any other day, I would have offered sympathetic counsel to Sylvia's relationship woes. Today, I needed her for something far greater. "Come over," I said. "Bring pastries. I have much to impart." "That tone," Sylvia said slowly, "that's your serious tone. What has transpired? Just come over, please." She arrived 40 minutes later, laden with pastries, savory spreads, and 2 large cups of my preferred blend from our local establishment. Sylvia Thorne had been my unwavering companion since our university days, the sole person who had truly known me before I became Alistair Vance's partner, a freelance visual artist with striking emerald eyes and intricate braids, whose hues shifted monthly. Currently a rich aubergine, she took one look at my face and deposited everything on the counter. "All right, tell me." And so, I did. I presented the images from the retreat. I played the video. I displayed the financial documents I had been scrutinizing. And then, I revealed my intention to engage Alaric Thorne and claim everything I could. Sylvia listened in uncharacteristic silence, her expression hardening with each disclosure. When I finished, a long moment passed before she spoke. "I never cared for him." I blinked. "What, Alistair?" "I never cared for him. I tried, for your sake. But he always seemed," she searched for the word, "calculating, as if everything were a transaction. Even the way he spoke of you felt transactional. Why didn't you say anything? Would you have listened?" She looked at me pointedly. "You were so enamored, and he made you happy, at least initially. I wasn't going to dismantle that based on a mere feeling. I simply hoped I was mistaken about him." Tears welled, but I staunchly suppressed them. I had wept enough. "I need to be astute about this. I can't just depart. I need a plan." "What do you require of me?" Sylvia asked immediately. "Help me comprehend what I'm examining here." I rotated my laptop toward her. "You're more adept with figures than I am. These accounts, these transfers, what does it all signify?" We spent the next 4 hours dissecting everything. Sylvia had minored in financial studies before deciding visual arts were more compelling. She assisted me in creating a spreadsheet, meticulously documenting every suspicious transaction, every concealed account, every inexplicable transfer. "He's hiding money," she finally concluded. "A significant amount of money. These offshore accounts, this distant LLC, the property management firm. He's been moving assets beyond reach for years. So, when you initiate divorce proceedings, he'll claim minimal wealth. he'll cite business liabilities or illiquid investments. Meanwhile, millions reside in places you can't easily access. She looked at me gravely. You require that forensic accountant your divorce lawyer will recommend, and you must act swiftly, before he realizes you know. How do I behave normally when he returns tomorrow? My voice fractured slightly. How do I look at him and pretend everything is fine? Sylvia reached across and squeezed my hand. Do you recall that dramatic arts class we took sophomore year? The one where you portrayed the woman secretly planning her escape from her controlling spouse. I managed a faint smile at the memory. I received a standing ovation. Precisely. You are an exceptional actress when circumstances demand it. Channel that. She rose and began pacing, a habit of hers when Here's our approach. You maintain a completely normal demeanor, the loving, supportive partner. You inquire about his excursion. You tell him you missed him. You prepare his preferred morning meal. Give him absolutely no cause for suspicion while I covertly construct your case. Document everything, consult with legal professionals, and prepare for battle. She ceased pacing and looked at me. He believes you're this sweet, unsuspecting woman who will never question him. Let him continue to believe that, right up until the moment you utterly destroy him. It was then that the profound impact struck me. I wasn't merely losing a marriage. I was losing the version of myself I had become over the past 6 years. The version that deferred to his judgments. The version that fabricated excuses for his conduct. The version that diminished herself so he could feel superior. I don't know if I can do this, I whispered. Yes, you can. Sylvia's voice was resolute. You are Eleanor Vance. You built a successful interior design portfolio while married to a workaholic. You negotiated with contractors twice your age who attempted to undermine you. You once redesigned an entire executive suite in 3 weeks when the client expedited their deadline. You are capable of so much more than he ever gave you credit for. She was correct. Before him, I had been self-assured and ambitious. Somehow, I had lost that along the way. I want my own firm, I said suddenly. I've operated as an independent consultant for years, taking on projects sporadic, but I desire my own enterprise, my own clientele, my own success that is entirely independent of being Alistair Vance's partner. Sylvia grinned. Now you're speaking my language, and I know an exceptional visual artist who could assist with branding. You perform that role. Eleanor, Jasper, and I have been in a stagnant relationship for months. I've been seeking an impetus to end it and concentrate on my work. Let us both cease squandering time on individuals who do not merit us, and instead construct something together. For the first time since that harrowing afternoon, I felt something beyond anguish. I felt potential. We dedicated the remainder of the day to planning, not merely my separation strategy, but what would follow. Sylvia sketched logo concepts while I compiled lists of prospective clients. We researched the requirements for officially establishing a design firm. We discussed office space, portfolios, and business models. By the time she departed that evening, I possessed notebooks overflowing with plans and a considerably clearer mind. The next morning, I meticulously cleansed the house, eradicating any traces of my clandestine research. The notebooks were concealed in my vehicle. His portable computer was returned to its exact previous location. Fresh linens adorned our bed, and my sleeping cushion was restored from the guest room. Then, I journeyed to the market, acquiring the ingredients for his preferred evening repast: succulent cuts of prime beef, crisp, verdant legumes, and the components for a homemade sweet layered dessert. If I was to embody the devoted partner, I would do so convincingly. As the clock approached 6, his imposing vehicle entered the driveway. I observed from the kitchen window as he retrieved his travel bag, noting his relaxed demeanor, his apparent contentment. Of course, he was content. He had spent the weekend with his parents. I affixed a smile and met him at the threshold. "Greetings, my dear," he said, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Precisely as I had anticipated. "Something smells divine." "I missed you," I uttered, surprised by the normalcy of my own voice. "I prepared your favorite. You're the absolute best." He ascended the stairs. "Allow me a quick cleansing, and I'll be right down." I listened to his assent, heard the bathroom door close, then the rush of water. I stood in our kitchen, enveloped by the aroma of the meal prepared for a man I no longer loved, preparing to undertake the performance of my life. Sylvia was right. I could accomplish this. I had to, because Alistair Vance was about to discover that his gravest error was not the affair, it was underestimating the woman he had betrayed. The ensuing morning brought a profound clarity, the kind that settles only after a difficult decision has been made. I awoke before him, brewed coffee, and observed him sleeping for a moment. He appeared serene, entirely oblivious to the impending upheaval of his life. A fleeting urge to douse him with the hot beverage passed, quickly replaced by the knowledge that patience would serve me better. I was in my study by 7:30, awaiting the commencement of business hours. At 9 o'clock, precisely, my phone rang. Alaric Thorne's office. Mrs. Vance. A crisp female voice. Mr. Thorne received your correspondence. He would like to meet with you this afternoon, if you are available. 2 o'clock, I'll be there. She provided an address in a towering downtown edifice, the kind of building where high-stakes transactions unfolded. Fitting. I spent the morning in preparation. I printed every suspicious financial document. I organized the images and video from the retreat onto a portable drive. I meticulously created a chronology of his excursions, cross-referenced with credit card charges and calendar entries. By the time I departed for the appointment, I carried a thick, accordion-style folder. Alaric Thorne's office occupied the entire 42nd floor. Expansive windows overlooked the city, and the furnishings exuded an expensive minimalism, a testament to success. The receptionist escorted me to a conference room where a man in his 50s sat reviewing documents. He possessed silver hair and piercing eyes that missed nothing. Mrs. Vance, he rose, shaking my hand firmly. Please be seated. May I offer you anything? Water, coffee? I'm fine, thank you. He gestured to the folder I had placed on the table. I presume that is for me. Everything I've compiled thus far. I opened it, extracting the organized sections, images, and video evidence of the affair, financial documents detailing asset transfers and concealed accounts, a timeline of his deceptions, credit card statements proving his parallel existence. Alaric Thorne spent 20 minutes reviewing everything in silence. His expression remained impassive, but I noted a subtle rise of his eyebrows when he reached the offshore account transfers. Finally, he looked up. How long have you been aware? Since Friday. I found them at his retreat, and your partner has no inkling of your knowledge. None. He believes I was home all weekend. Good. He closed the folder. Here is the situation, Mrs. Vance. Your partner is clearly engaged in an affair, and you possess excellent documentation. However, this financial situation is more intricate than typical separation cases. He has been systematically concealing assets for at least 2 years, possibly longer. Can we recover it? With the right forensic accountant, yes, most of it. However, he leaned forward. I must be candid with you. This will become contentious. Your partner will fight fiercely to protect his wealth. He will attempt to portray you as opportunistic. He will prolong this as long as possible, hoping you will settle for less. Are you prepared for that? I thought of his hands on Corinne's waist, of 18 months of falsehoods, of the future they were orchestrating while I played the unwitting partner. I am prepared, I stated firmly. Good, because I do not accept cases I do not believe I can win. And Mrs. Vance, I believe we can absolutely dismantle him. He smiled, the predatory grin of a shark sensing blood. Here is our course of action. We spent the next 2 hours strategizing. Alaric explained the necessity of moving swiftly but discreetly, filing the paperwork before he could further conceal assets, securing court orders to freeze accounts, engaging Felix Sterling, a forensic accountant renowned for his work on several high-profile cases. The crucial element, Alaric explained, was that my partner could not know of my intentions until he was served with the legal documents. Can you maintain the facade at home? Yes. For how long? This could require weeks of proper preparation. I recalled Sylvia's words about the dramatic arts class, about being an actress, when necessary, as long as it takes. Alaric nodded approvingly. One more consideration. Do you have any family or friends you trust implicitly? Individuals who could testify to your partner's character or behavior if required. My thoughts immediately went to Sylvia, but then another name surfaced. His mother, Margot, his mother. She has never condoned his treatment of me. I've overheard her disputing with him about it, though he invariably dismisses her concerns. She is traditional, believes in upholding commitments. If she knew of the affair, would she testify for you? I believe she would. She values integrity above all else. I paused. But I would need to inform her delicately. She is in her 70s and has a cardiac condition. We will address that when the time comes. For now, focus on documentation and maintaining normalcy at home. He rose, signaling the conclusion of our meeting. My team will prepare the initial paperwork. Felix Sterling will contact you this week regarding the financial investigation. And Mrs. Vance, do not confront your partner. Do not hint that anything is amiss. If he becomes alarmed and begins moving money, this becomes exponentially more challenging. I understand. I departed his office feeling as though I had just enlisted in a war, which, I supposed, I had. The remainder of the week unfolded in a surreal haze. He returned home each evening around 8, dined, and retreated to his study for additional work. I played the role of the impeccable partner, inquiring about his day, preparing meals, feigning interest in his tedious anecdotes about technological investments and board meetings. On Wednesday afternoon, Felix Sterling called. He was younger than I had anticipated, perhaps 40, with an energetic voice reminiscent of a university professor. Mrs. Vance Alaric forwarded your documentation. This is exceptional work, by the way. Most clients don't accumulate half this much information. Papers rustled in the background. I require access to all financial accounts, both joint and individual. Any account your partner possesses that you are aware of, I need the information. I can provide everything he keeps at home, but some of these accounts, I only know they exist due to statements I found. I don't have login information. That's acceptable. We can subpoena the records once we file, but anything you can provide now helps construct the picture more rapidly. He paused. I'm going to be forthright with you. What your partner has done here, moving this much money offshore, utilizing shell corporations, this extends beyond typical asset protection in a separation. This suggests he's been planning something for a while. My stomach tightened. Planning what? Either planning to leave you, or planning for something else. I cannot say for certain yet, but men do not typically go to this much trouble to conceal money, unless they are preparing for a significant life alteration. He cleared his throat. Have you observed any other unusual behavior? Large acquisitions, new insurance policies, changes to beneficiaries? I reflected on the past 2 years. He updated his will approximately a year ago. He claimed it was merely routine for the business. I require a copy of that will. It's in his office safe at home. Can you retrieve it without his knowledge? I glanced at the clock. He wouldn't be home for another 4 hours. I can attempt to. After we concluded the call, I proceeded to his study and stared at the safe integrated into the wall behind a painting. I had observed him opening it dozens of times, but never paid close attention to the sequence. I tried his birth date. Nothing. The retreat acquisition date. Nothing. Our wedding anniversary. The safe clicked open. My hands trembled as I extracted the contents. His passport, equity certificates, property deeds, and there, a folder labeled estate planning documents. I photographed every page, ensuring the images were clear. Then I discovered something else. A second cellular device, an electronic slate with a fractured screen, hidden at the back of the safe. His primary device was a different model, encased in a distinctive sapphire hue. This one was entirely different. I pressed the power button, but it was inert. I retrieved the charging cable from his desk and connected it, waiting as it awakened. No password. The device opened directly to the home screen. Messages, dozens of conversations. I scrolled through unfamiliar names, messages that made my skin crawl. Corinne was there, of course, but so were others. A woman named Clara, someone saved as Coastal Gem, another as Desert Bloom. He hadn't just been engaged in one affair. He had been engaged in multiple affairs. I photographed everything, my hands now steadier with a cold fury. Each conversation, each image he had received, each text detailing rendezvous secrets, and his eagerness to see them. The estate planning documents revealed another troubling detail. He had altered his beneficiaries 6 months prior. I was not listed anywhere. Everything was directed to the Vance Family Trust, an entity I had never heard of before. I sent all the images to my secure cloud account, then carefully returned everything to the safe exactly as I had found it. The secondary device was placed back on its charger, concealed in my study closet, where I could continue to monitor it. By the time he returned home that evening, I had sent Felix everything I had found, and was sitting at the kitchen counter, examining paint samples for a fictitious client project. Hey, he said, loosening his necktie. What's for dinner? I thought we'd order Asian cuisine. Perfect. He ascended the stairs without a kiss, without truly looking at me. I watched him go and felt absolutely nothing. The man I had married, the man I had believed I loved, did not exist. He never had. The stranger who maintained secondary devices and altered his will to exclude me was the true, Alistair Vance. On Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Margot Vance appeared on the display. Eleanor, dear, his mother said in her refined voice, I was hoping you and I could have luncheon next week. Just the two of us. I would love that, Margot. Excellent. Tuesday. I know a delightful cafe in the cultural district. We made plans, and I wondered if she somehow sensed something was amiss. Margot had always been kind to me, warmer than my own mother in many ways. She had welcomed me into the Vance family without reservation. She deserved to know the truth. Tuesday arrived, and I met Margot at the cafe she had suggested. It was elegant but understated, adorned with artwork from local galleries. Margot arrived in a verdant gown and pearls, her silver hair impeccably styled as always. We ordered salads and exchanged pleasantries about her gardening club and my design projects. Then Margot set down her fork and looked at me seriously. Eleanor, I am going to be direct, because I am too old for pretense. Is my son bringing you happiness? The question caught me off guard. Why do you ask? Because I know my son. I love him. But I am not blind to his shortcomings. He is ambitious to a fault, as his father was, and ambition has a way of making men self-serving. She reached across and squeezed my hand. I have observed you diminish yourself over the years. That vibrant, confident woman who first came to our home has become someone quieter, smaller, and I have wondered if Alistair is the cause. Tears stung my eyes. Margot, there's something I need to tell you. And so, I did. Not everything, but enough. I recounted discovering him at the retreat with another woman. I did not mention the secondary device with multiple affairs, or the concealed money, or the altered will, just the fundamental truth. Her son was unfaithful, and I was initiating divorce proceedings. Margot's face paled. I feared something like this. His father had affairs as well. You know, I remained because that is what women of my generation did, but I have regretted it every day since. She gripped my hand tighter. Do not make my mistake, Eleanor. Do not squander your life on a man who does not value your worth. I've engaged Alaric Thorne. Alaric Thorne? Margot smiled grimly. Good, he is ruthless. Alistair will despise that. Margot, there's something else. My legal counsel might require character witnesses, individuals who can testify about his behavior during our marriage. She straightened in her chair. I will do it, whatever you need. Even against my own son. Especially against my own son. Perhaps it will teach him the consequences of treating people as if they are expendable. Her eyes were fierce despite her age. My father used to say, character is what you do when no one is watching. Alistair has revealed his character, and it is deficient. He needs to confront that. A weight lifted from me. Having Margot on my side changed everything. There's one more thing.